Close your eyes for a moment. Picture your own legs. Feel the ground beneath your feet, the gentle ache in your calves. Maybe a heaviness in your thighs, or a tiredness that seems to linger at the end of each day. Perhaps you are 72, like Evelyn. Perhaps you're younger but have watched a parent, grandparent, or friend wince as they stand or shuffle across the kitchen. Perhaps, as you listen to this, you carry your own private achesa stiffness in your knees, the drag of fatigue as you climb stairs, the silent hope that tomorrow might feel lighter. For many, these sensations are not just physical. They're emotional. Quiet sadness, a resignation, a sense that the world is speeding up while your body is quietly slowing down. Maybe you tell yourself, it's just age. It happens to everyone. You adapt, you endure, you try not to complain. But deep down, a question flickers. Does it really have to be this way? I want you to hold that question close as we begin this journey together. Because what if the answer isn't about chasing youth or denying the years? What if relief, healing, and even joy could start with the gentlest of gesture, a few drops of oil, a moment of stillness, a return to listening to the messages of your own body? This is not a story about miracle cures or instant transformations. It is a story about coming home to yourself, about the quiet power of ritual, and about the possibility that no matter your body is still listening, still capable of change. Over the next chapters, we will travel with Evelyn, a woman who carried the weight of 72 years in her legs alongside all her memories, all her grief, all her hope. Her transformation didn't begin in a clinic or a pharmacy, but right in her kitchen, with a forgotten bottle of rosemary oil and a willingness to try something new. You will learn not just what Evelyn did, but why it worked, how aging really changes our legs and our confidence, how simple rituals can restore lost energy, and why the most profound healing often begins not with doing more, but with doing less, slowing down, listening, and offering ourselves a kindness we might give to anyone else we love. I promise, this story is not just for Evelyn. It is for you, for your loved ones, for anyone who has ever felt left behind by their own body. As you listen, I invite you to pause, to notice your own breath, your own touch, your own quiet hopes for healing. Let's begin. A week ago, Evelyn sat by her window and watched the light slip across her living room floor. Her legs sat strong, now stiff and swollen, felt like anchors, holding her spirit down. There was a time when she moved through her days with ease, tending her garden, walking to the store, dancing barefoot in her kitchen as she cleaned. But lately, every step felt slow, deliberate, and heavy. Getting up from her favorite chair was a battle. Sleep came in fragments, haunted by cramps and the dull ache in her calves. Evelyn is not alone. Her story is the story of so many men and women who have quietly accepted discomfort as a tax paid to time. Most do not complain. They adapt. They move less. They joke, "I'm not as young as I used to be," and push on, even as the world seems to recede a little further away. But deep down, Evelyn carried a hope she barely acknowledged, that perhaps something gentle, something honest, could help her body feel like home again. One afternoon, she found herself cleaning her pantry, something she hadn't done in years. Behind jars of forgotten pickles and a dusty tin of tea, her fingers brushed against a small glass bottle. She lifted it, wiped away the grime, and read the label, rosemary oil. She'd bought it years ago, inspired by an article about soothing muscle pain, but had forgotten it until now. That evening, as her legs ached once more, Evelyn paused. She opened the bottle, warmed a few drops in her palms, and began to massage her calves and thighs. The scent earthy, sharp, almost ancient rose around her. She moved slowly, with no expectation except to ease her pain. But something happened. As the oil touched her skin, as she pressed gently upward, she felt not just warmth, but a kind of awakening, a reminder that her body, even now, could respond. That night, she slept through for the first time in weeks. In the morning, her legs felt light or not, perfect, but different. For 7 days, she repeated the ritual. Morning and night, after showering or before bed, she paused, breathed, and let her hands work the oil into her tired muscles. With each day, change came not as a thunderclap, but as a dawn. The swelling eased, the heaviness softened. She found herself walking not because she had to, but because she wanted to. The act of care became a new rhythm, a reason to trust her body again. Evelyn's story is about more than rosemary oil. It is about listening, about returning to presence, about the power of meeting ourselves where we are, with compassion and patience. And it is just the beginning. It's easy, in a world obsessed with youth, to believe that heavy, aching legs are simply part of getting older. Doctors may nod sympathetically. Friends may share their own struggles, comparing medications or remedies. But beneath the shared sighs is a mystery far richer and more hopeful than most people realize. To understand what happened to Evelyn and what may be happening in your own body must look beyond the surface. Aging is not a single uniform process. Your legs are not just passive recipients of time's wear and tear. They are alive, dynamic, responsive to everything from what you eat to how you move, to the smallest rituals of care you practice each day. For most people, changes in the legs begin quietly. Perhaps there's an ache behind the knees after walking farther than usual. Perhaps your ankles seem swollen after a day of sitting, or your calves feel tight and restless at night. You might notice you trip more easily, or that the skin on your shins is dull, dry, or thinner than it used to be. These are not just the marks of age. They are sin's gentle warnings that the river of life inside you, your circulation, is slowing down. Let's pause and imagine what's happening inside. Your blood, rich with oxygen and nutrients, travels through a complex network of arteries and veins. In youth, these vessels are supple and wide, carrying blood easily down to your toes and back again. As years pass, those pathways can narrow and stiffen. The valves that once pushed blood upward against gravity grow weak. Fluids begin to pool in your feet and lower legs, especially if you sit or stand for long periods. Your tissues, deprived of steady flow, grow hungry for oxygen. Muscles lose their springiness. The sensation is not always pain, it's more like a deep tiredness, a sense of disconnection from your own body. This is compounded by changes in the lymphatic system network that drains excess fluid and waste. The little pumps slow down, leading to swelling, puffiness, and that heavy feeling that makes every step a labor. But there's more. As movement decreases, muscles gradually shrink. This isn't laziness, it's biology. Muscles rely on use. When joints ache or swelling increases, we move less, and so the cycle continues. Less movement leads to weaker muscles. Weaker muscles make movement harder, and confidence erodes. It's a recipe for quiet despair, and too often, for loneliness. People stop walking outside. Social visits decline. Independence slips away. Yet none of this is inevitable. Science and real-world experience now show us that with gentle, targeted attention, these cycles can be interrupted, reversed. Blood flow can improve, swelling can decrease, muscles can revive. But the body rarely shouts for help. It whispers through discomfort, through fatigue, through a longing for touch and movement. And those whispers, when met with kindness, become the seeds of change. Evelyn's journey is one answer, but the possibilities are far greater than any single remedy. What matters is learning to listen, to notice, to honor, and to respond not with force, but with presence. If science explains the what and why of aging legs, ritual reveals the how. Ritual is the bridge between knowledge and transformation. It's where change becomes possible not as a distant goal, but as a lived, daily experience. 4. Evelyn, her rosemary oil ritual became more than a treatment. It was a new languagea way of speaking to her body, of saying, "I see you. I am here. Let's begin again. What does this look like?" Not complicated, not expensive. It begins with a moment of pausia commitment to step out of the rush of the day to create space for care. She would begin after a warm shower, or after washing her legs in the sink if a shower felt too much. Warm water is a gift to the body. It softens skin, opens pores, and signals to muscles that it's safe to let go. Evelyn would hold the bottle of rosemary oil in her hands, feeling its coolness, letting it warm in her palms. She'd pour a few drops 5 or 6 in, rub her hands together. Releasing the aroma, before touching her skin, she'd inhale deeply. The scent was sharp, clean, evocative of wild hills and sun-warmed earth. In that breath, she would set an intention not to fix her body, but to meet it with kindness. She started at her ankles, moving in slow circles. The upward strokes were gentle but firm, always moving toward the heart to encourage blood flow. Up the calves, behind the knees, along the shins, into the thighs. The act was rhythmic, meditative, almost sacred. 5 to 7 minutes per leg. Sometimes longer if she lost herself in the movement. Each massage became a meditation, a union of breath, touch, and awareness. If her mind wandered to worries, she gently brought it back. To the feeling of oil on skin, to the warmth building. Beneath her palms, to the quiet gratitude of simply being present. Twice a day, morning and night, became her anchor. Some days, she added to the ritual elevation, placing her legs on pillows for 15 minutes afterward, inviting blood and fluid to return toward her heart. Heat, a warm, damp towel draped over her legs, encouraging deeper absorption and comfort. Silence. Turning off the TV and phone, letting the world wait while she listened to her body. Sometimes, her daughter or granddaughter joined her, massaging her feet as they talked about the day. Other times, she lit a candle or played soft music. What mattered was the pause, the intention, the willingness to feel it, just to do. Why does this matter? Modern science now shows that touch itself, especially when combined with scent and stillness, can trigger profound changes, calming the nervous system, lowering stress hormones, improving circulation and lymph flow, enhancing the absorption of natural oils, reconnecting mind and body, rebuilding trust. The rosemary oil itself contains rosmarinic acid, antioxidants, and compounds known to boost circulation, reduce inflammation, and even support cognitive function. But these effects are amplified by the ritual the attention, the breath, the rhythm. And so, healing began not just in the body, but in the spirit. For Evelyn, the oil was a tool. The real medicine was presence. It is tempting to think that change must come slowly, or not at all. We are taught to expect disappointment, to assume that old injuries and years of neglect can't be undone. But real transformation often begins with the smallest shifts that gather day by day into a quiet revolution. For Evelyn, day 1 was an arrival. There was no sudden relief, but the act of sitting, of caring for her legs, brought a sense of lightness, if not yet in her body, then in her heart. By the second day, the grip of morning stiffness began to loosen. Night cramps eased. Sleep grew deeper. The sense of ease, even if subtle, was a promise that her efforts were not in vain. By the third day, the way she moved through her home changed. She caught herself walking, not shuffling. Her steps felt more natural. The heaviness receded day. For brought a surprise, her skin, long, dry, and dull, began to glow with health. Her legs looked she say, I talov. Confidence returned on days 5 and 6. It was not loud, but steady. She moved without hesitation, climbed stairs without the rail, stood taller. On the 7th day, she looked down not in frustration, but in gratitude. Her legs, her oldest friends, felt like hers again. Capable, trustworthy, even beautiful in their own way. Evelyn's story is echoed in others. Helen, 75, a market vendor, found relief from aching knees with arnica oil, massaging after long days of standing. Mr. Lee, 83, a retired teacher, started with lavender oil to help restless nights. Within a week, sleep returned, and so did his early morning walks. Mrs. Nguyen, 68, blended rosemary with horse chestnut for swelling, and shared the ritual with her husband, strengthening both body and marriage. None of these changes required expensive treatments, only attention, consistency, and a willingness to believe that healing is possible. Evelyn's story began with rosemary oil, but as her curiosity grew, she wondered, what other gifts might nature hold for tired, aching legs? It's a question many people ask after their first taste of relief. Our bodies are unique. Our stories, our struggles, and even our senses are different. What soothes one person's pain may do little for another. The real secret is learning to listen, to experiment gently, and to find what feels like coming home. Through letters, phone calls, and neighborhood chats, Evelyn heard about others' journeys. Some, like her friend Helen at the market, struggled more with soreness and bruising after long days of standing. Others, like her nephew Trung, who worked as a security guard, fought restless sleep as much as restless legs. And a few, especially older men in her circle, felt shame about swollen veins, reluctant to discuss it. Unsure if there was hope. For Helen, it was arnica oil that worked wonders. Arnica, a golden mountain flower, had been used for generations to reduce inflammation and bruising. After I started massaging arnica into my knees each night, Helen shared, the swelling faded. I could stand longer at the market, and by the end of the week, the old ache had softened. Even the purple bruises from bumping into crates seemed to heal faster. For Trung, who couldn't sleep, it was lavender oil, soft, fragrant, and deeply calming. Lavender isn't just an old folk remedy. Scientific studies show it lowers stress hormones and soothes nerves. Trung learned to rub a few drops into his legs and feet before bed, breathing slowly. He fell asleep faster, slept more deeply, and woke with less tightness in his calves. For those troubled by visible veins and swelling ankles, a friend at Evelyn's church introduced her to horse chestnut oil. This oil, popular in Europe and now recommended by some doctors, helps tone blood vessel walls and ease the pressure that causes heaviness and puffiness. One member of her church, Mrs. Mary, reported that after a month of gentle massage, her legs felt less trapped by gravity, and she could walk to morning mass again without stopping to rest. Some people combined oils, mixing a few drops of rosemary with lavender for evening calm, or arnica with horse chestnut after long days. A few found that a base of almond or olive oil made the ritual even more nourishing, especially for very dry skin. There were no strict rules, only the guiding principle: let your body lead. If you notice an oil brings comfort, keep using it. If it doesn't feel right, try another, or mix and match according to your needs. This was not just about symptom relief. It was about reclaiming a sense of a gen-scythe freedom to experiment, to play, to care for yourself in ways that are gentle and deeply personal. And this journey was for everyone. Evelyn learned that many men, even those who had never tried massage before, found real benefit in these rituals. Her neighbor, Mr. Adams, a former construction worker with weathered hands and a limp from an old injury, told her, "I never thought oil was for men. But after 3 days of horse chestnut oil, my legs felt less heavy. My son noticed I walked straighter." Age didn't matter either. One of the oldest women in Evelyn's building, Mrs. Martha, was 89. She couldn't reach her legs easily, so her daughter massaged oil in for her. It became a time for conversation, laughter, and memory, sharinga ritual that healed body and spirit together. Some preferred morning rituals, others, night. Some used oils every day, others, just a few times a week. Some paired the massage with prayer or meditation, music or gratitude. Each person made the practice their own, and in doing so, found something unique, a feeling of being in partnership with their own body. You're participating in their own healing. For those with medical conditions, Ws, fragile skin, recent surgeries, etc., care and gentle consultation with a doctor were important. But in nearly every case, something shifted. Pain eased, swelling faded. Hope grew. What mattered most was not which oil was chosen, but the act of caring, the pause, and the intention behind each gentle stroke. As days passed and her legs responded, Evelyn noticed something else. The oil ritual was just one part of her healing. Her body wanted more, not more effort or strain, but more support. She discovered that gentle movement was as important as stillness. That food could be medicine, and that rest, too, had its wisdom. At first, Evelyn feared that moving her heavy legs would worsen the pain. But she remembered the advice of a wise physical therapist. Motion is lotion. Even the smallest movements help blood flow, wake up sleepy muscles, and ease swelling. She started simplarizing onto her toes while standing at the kitchen sink, then lowering herself down slowly 10 times. She circled her ankles, flexed her feet, and when she felt strong, took slow walks in her hallway. On sunny days, she strolled the garden, pausing to smell the flowers. Her friends in the building started joining her. They would walk the corridors together, sharing stories and laughter, holding on to each other if anyone felt unsteady. "It's more fun with company," one said. And the company made everyone feel safer. Evelyn also began to notice what she ate. She learned that some foods stew, much salt, rich fried snacks made her swelling worse. But foods that supported blood flow and reduced inflammation, like garlic, turmeric, berries, and plenty of water, made her feel lighter. She experimented with simple meals, a breakfast of oatmeal with blueberries and walnuts, a salad of spinach, cucumber, and tomatoes, drizzled with olive oil, soup with turmeric, ginger, and garlic. She cut back on salty snacks in the evening, swapped soda for herbal tea, and made sure to drink water throughout the day. Afternoons brought fatigue, so Evelyn listened to her body. She propped her legs on 2 pillows for 15 minutes, closing her eyes and letting gravity help her veins recover. At night, she placed a small cushion under her ankles, feeling the gentle stretch along her calves, breathing quietly until sleep returned. She learned not to force herself, not to push through exhaustion. Some days required more rest, some days more movement. She trusted the signals her body sent, responding with kindness instead of impatience. The greatest revelation was that healing did not require grand gestures. It was the sum of many small actions, each reinforcing the other's. The oil, bringing relief and connection. The movement, waking the body from within. The food, supporting each cell. The rest, allowing the body to repair. Over time, these simple practices wove together into a new rhythmic circle of care that strengthened not only Evelyn's legs, but her confidence, her hope, and her sense of belonging to her own life again. Her friends and family noticed the difference. They too grew curious and joined in. The building became a little community of caregivers, experimenters, and quiet healers. As their bodies responded, so did their spirits. Jokes returned, plans were made. The sense of isolation and resignation faded, replaced by a new story. We are not powerless. We are not too old. We are not alone. As our journey draws to a close, I'd like to invite you to pause right here, right now. Take a gentle breath in. Let it fill your chest, your belly, and then let it out slowly. Feeling the quiet release in your shoulders, your jaw, your legs. In this moment, there's nowhere else you need to be. Nothing you need to prove. This is your time. We have wandered together through stories of swelling and soreness, of aching legs and restless nights, of rituals old and new. We have lingered in kitchens, beside easy chairs, on quiet garden paths, and in the humble corners of life where healing often begins. Maybe you came to this story with pain or doubt, with longing or with resignation. Maybe you watch for someone you love, your mother, a grandfather, a friend whose steps have grown slow. Or maybe, just maybe, you were simply curious, quietly wondering if there was still a gentler way to care for your aging body, wherever you started. I hope you are leaving with something more than facts or instructions. I hope you are leaving with a sense of possibility, because what Evelyn discovered at 72 can. What people everywhere are rediscovering each day is this: the human body, at any age, is not a lost cause. It is not a machine destined only to break down. It is a landscape full of rivers and forests, valleys and hills. Some parts grow dry, others flooded, some overgrown, some tender and new. But with the right kind of attention, with gentle care and patient rituals, life can return even to the places that have felt most neglected. Think of all you have learned now just about rosemary oil, or arnica, or the gentle power of lavender. Think about the ritual itself, the pause, the breath, the warmth of your own hands. The willingness to slow down, to listen, to treat your legs not as burdens or problems to be solved, but as companions on a long, remarkable journey. What happens when you do this? The science is clear, and the stories are even clearer. Circulation improves. Blood and lymph move more freely, bringing nourishment to tissues starved for years. Swelling recedes, heaviness and pain ease, making way for comfort. And movement? Muscles wake up. Simple touch and movement invite them to remember their strength. Sleep returns. Nighttime rest grows deeper, less broken by cramps or worry. Confidence blossoms. Steps grow steadier. The fear of falling, of being left behind, begins to fade. But there's a deeper magic at work. Tune that no study can fully capture. When you attend to your body with patience and kindness, you come home to yourself. You reclaim not just your legs, but your sense of worth, your right to comfort, your ability to choose presence over neglect. Maybe you have spent years blaming your legs, resenting them for their failings, wishing them younger, slimmer, less painful. Maybe you've carried secret shame, hiding swelling under long pants, declining invitations, sitting out on dances and family walks. What if, starting today, you shifted your gaze? What if you saw your legs as the wise, loyal companions they are, carrying you through years of labor, of laughter, of standing for others? What if you remembered that every bruise, every varicose vein, every patch of dry skin is not a mark of failure, but a living record of life itself? Evelyn's story began not with ambition or with grand dreams, but with a tiny bottle of oil and a willingness to try. It continued because she listened first to her pain, then to her pleasure, then to the subtle invitations of her own body. She did not force change. She invited it, gently, like opening a window to let in the breeze. She stayed curious, willing to experiment, to adjust, to forgive herself when she missed a day or felt discouraged. Her greatest discoveries came not in the absence of pain, but in the presence of attention. As she cared for her legs, her world widened against steps outside, conversations with neighbors, laughter in the kitchen, hope in the morning light. And she was not alone. Every ritual she created, every pillow under her ankles, every walk in the hall, every cup of turmeric tea became an invitation for others to join her. Her daughter massaged oil into her feet. Her friends gathered for stretches and walks. Her building became a community of quiet support and shared stories. One gentle change rippled outward, touching family, friends, and even strangers, proving that healing is never a solitary act. So what about you? As you finish this video, I invite you to ask yourself, where am I in my own story? What gentle ritual could I try tonight or tomorrow morning to bring more comfort, presence, or hope to my body? Who could I invite to share this journey so my own, who needs care, who feels alone, who might find encouragement in a simple drop of oil or a shared walk? If you are ready, you might begin tonight, find a small bottle of oil rosemary, lavender, arnica, or even just olive oil. Warm a few drops between your hands. Close your eyes and take a slow, gentle breath. Touch your legs as you would comfort a friend with kindness, patience, and respect. Notice what you feel, not just pain, but warmth, sensation, memory, and hope. Or perhaps you'll start by changing how you rest, propping your legs up on a pillow, closing your eyes for a few minutes, letting gravity help the rivers inside you run free. Or maybe your first step will be movementa. Simple walk down the hallway, a few circles of your ankles, a stretch that wakes your calves and thighs. Whatever you choose, do it not as a chore or a punishment, but as an act of love. Love for your body, love for your story, love for the days and years still ahead. And if you stumble, if you miss a day or lose heart, remember, this is not a contest. Healing is not linear. Every effort counts. Every gesture of care plants a seed. Some seeds bloom quickly. Others rest quietly, waiting for their time. If you are a caregiver, watching for someone you love, know that your kindness matters. A cup of tea, a shared story, a gentle massage, these are gifts that can last a lifetime. If you are young, watching, with curiosity or concern, remember that the habits you plant now, rituals of movement, of stillness, of nourishment, will serve you for decades to come. And if you're older, weary from years of disappointment, let this be your invitation. It is never too late to try. It is never too late to listen. It is never too late to walk gently, with hope, toward a new story. You are not defined by your aches, your age, your setbacks, or your struggles. You are defined by your willingness to care, to experiment, to begin again. No matter how many times you must. Before we part, I want to leave you with this: your body is listening. Your legs are listening. The rivers within you are waiting for your attention. Your story is still being written. Let's promise to write it with gentleness, with courage, and with a sense of wonder at the power of small, consistent acts. Let's promise to share what we learned, to pass the ritual on, to build communities of hope, to support one another in the quiet, ordinary work of healing. If this video touched you, if it sparked an idea or a longing for change, I invite you to share it. Share it with someone who needs encouragement. Share it with a parent or a friend who has lost faith in their body. Share it with yourself, returning to these stories, these rituals, whenever you need a reminder that hope is alive. And finally, if you wish, leave a comment below. Tell us about your journey, your questions, your victories, and your struggles. Let this be a place not just for watching, but for connecting, for learning, for cheering each other on. You never know whose life you might touch by speaking your truth. Thank you for walking with me today. Thank you for listening, for hoping, for trying. May your legs carry you forward with strength and softness. May your days be filled with comfort, curiosity, and care. And may you always remember, even now, even here, you are worthy of love. So go on, walk gently. Walk with love. And know from this moment forward, you are not alone.